I've given you guys a bunch of tips on what to do when you're playing a live show and how to run a live show properly, but here's a few things that you absolutely do not want to do when you're playing a live show. First of all, never go into a venue expecting free stuff from the venue. Be it drink tickets, guest list, VIP, anything like that. Never expect it. Now, sometime you will get that, and a lot of venues will offer that. But don't be the guy that goes in and, tries to start a fight with the bartender over your free drink tickets, because that will be the last time you ever play at that venue. Fighting with the door guy over getting people in for free, not only it doesn't help you out because you have less people paying to get in, and it doesn't help the venue out because there's less people paying to get in. So there's really nothing gained from that. So just tell everyone they gotta pay their own way in, unless the venue tells you otherwise. Just never assume that you're gonna get anything free from the bar, because most of the time they won't. And sometimes some bars will offer you free stuff, but they'll give you less of a payout. So keep that in mind as well. Speaking of which, never leave the bar before they pay the bands out. If you absolutely have to, at least communicate that with the bartender or the promoter or whoever you talk to about booking the show. But the second you leave, that money is pretty much, assume that that money is pretty much forfeited. Because, it's not the promoter's job to make sure that you get paid out. It is your job to make sure that you get paid out. And so if you don't get money, it really just falls on you. Don't take too long getting stuff on and off stage. There are other bands playing. That is the easiest way you're gonna start an argument with another band, and it's just unprofessional. If you're playing a show, try to get everything on and off stage as quickly as possible so the show can continue. Don't argue with the bartender. Just don't. It never works. Don't not tip the bartender. Consider them your boss for the night, because they're going to be the ones telling the owner or the promoter whether or not they want you back, because the venue is making their money off of the drinks. So if they're not selling the drinks, or if the bartender isn't happy, they're not going to want to have you around. If you understand sound and it's already agreed upon that you're able to do your own sound or something like that, great. But otherwise, do not touch the soundboard unless you are the sound guy. Very important. Again, if you break their equipment, if you don't know what you're doing, it could be very bad for you. You could end up making yourself sound bad because you don't understand certain aspects of the room or how the sound is working, or you could end up blowing something now all of your money from the show is forfeited because you broke something. Don't drop the mic. A lot of people want to drop the mic for dramatic effect. Just don't do it. Those mics break easily and they're expensive. The venue does not want to pay for another microphone. I've said this in many of my other videos, but don't get too drunk before you go on stage. If you can't play properly, but you think you're playing properly, you're either going to not sound very good, sound sloppy, or you're gonna end up getting in an argument with your band because you're too wasted. Don't play over your time. If you have a 30-minute set, that does not mean you can play at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops. If you're given 30 minutes, take that 30 minutes. Don't play over your set. Honestly, you're kind of oversaturating your music anyway. If you're playing a live show and you're playing longer than an hour or even 45 minutes, try to make it short and sweet. People have short attention spans, and unless they're there specifically to see you, they probably don't want to have you go on for more than the time you're allocated. It also pisses off the other bands. Don't ignore the other bands or people there. There's been so many bands that I've dealt with that will just completely ignore everyone just drinking their car the whole night or something like that. And that is a terrible attitude to go into if you're trying to, play a show. The whole point of playing live is to make new fans and meet new people. If you're ignoring everyone, you're not going to meet anyone, and no one's really going to want to talk to you because you're kind of standoffish. Also, never leave your merch unattended unless you absolutely have to. I've had situations where I was touring by myself and I had to go up on stage, and I would take my merch board and put it on the edge of the stage. That's probably the best case scenario in that, but if you leave your merch unattended, you're pretty much asking for people to steal it, and it just looks unprofessional, honestly. Also, never leave anything at the venue expecting that you can pick it up the next day. I have had so many cables alone stolen just because I left them at the venue. And, if you got like a proprietary power cable or something like that, you're gonna end up losing a whole lot of money, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass just to get your stuff back if you leave it at the venue. Again, that is no one's fault but your own if you leave your stuff at the venue. Make sure you check and double check that you have everything before you leave. Tune your guitars. Make sure they are tuned before you get on stage. If you have to tune on stage, don't let people hear you tune. No one wants to hear someone tuning their guitar in between every song. It's very important to tune in between every song, but mute it or bypass it, something. Also, don't rely on others to bring gear for you. I've seen so many DJs end up getting screwed because they got to the venue and they expected them to have like turntables, and the venue is like, no. And they don't get to play, and they just wasted their night because they didn't even ask. I've seen bands like have to run their bass through the PA system because they didn't bring a bass amp, or they were expecting their buddy to bring a bass amp and he didn't bring it. You're only screwing yourself if you're betting on other people to take your responsibility for you. It's really important to go into every show with a level-headed, realistic approach to the show. Don't expect a massive crowd every show. It's just going to put you in a bad mood if it doesn't end up happening, and it's going to hinder your stage performance. And furthermore, don't expect a massive crowd response. Sometimes people go to a show just to get out of the house, and they really don't care who's playing. Don't take it personally if they don't clap, or they don't listen to every single song, or they talk over the band playing. That's just part of being a musician. That's something you got to deal with, and it sucks, but that's part of the job. So what do you think? Is there anything that I might be missing? Anything that really pisses you off about live shows? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post a new video every week. Thank you for watching, and have a very nice evening.